Google actually came, I'll give you a story behind as to how they came in. Mr. Chamat Palihapitiya, who is a Sri Lankan born, in Silicon Valley, and he's been with Facebook, and he's very well connected in the valley. He visited Sri Lanka, and he met the Excellency President Maithripala Sirisena, and he said, what can I do for Sri Lanka? And then he said, there is a project like this, which can connect entire country, and the President said, go ahead. And that's how it ended up with our agency.
Although Mohandan Canagey made such an explanation, here is the truth.
According to Mohandan Canagey, Sri Lankan-born tech entrepreneur Chamat Palihapitiya met with President Maithripala Sirisena on the 6th of April 2016. However, by the time the meeting took place, the Google Loon balloon had crashed in Sri Lanka. The Loon balloon, which took off from South America, entered Sri Lankan airspace in February 2016. Now that's according to a statement made by Canagey to the BBC. However, by the 17th of February, the balloon crashed in Gampola. Incidentally, on the 26th of June 2015, well before the test was initiated, the Rama Corporation was established. Now Canagey says that the Google Loon came to Sri Lanka through Rama.
Does Mohandan Canagey speak the truth about the Rama Corporation?
We've heard the name Rama. Who is Rama or RMA?
Yeah, so its name sounds more South Asian, but the reality is Rama, ultimate beneficial owner is Social Capital, which is Chamat Palihapitiya.
Okay.
And he's basically established the company. He's given us documents to that effect, and he has asked his representatives here to form the company and to be seated on the board.
So why do they continuously request for 700 MHz spectrum range?
According to an article that appeared on the Business Insider on the 10th of November 2015, the Rama Corporation, quote, is already licensing spectrum in Sri Lanka, end quote. The article further notes that Chamat plans on molding Rama into a modern carrier, one that can do things like easy billing and isn't stuck in a legacy structure. Now, according to the Department of Registrar of Companies, the company, which was registered on the 26th of June 2015, has two directors, namely P. Sivagananathan and Malaka Chaminda Bandara, with one share each. After establishing the Rama Corporation and bringing down Chamat Palihapitiya, Canagey now requests the spectrum for the range of 700 MHz.
We've taken this and we've made representations, and we've asked the TRCSL to make the spectrum available.
Okay.
And but however, there seems to be confusion as to the spectrum of 700 MHz has not been allocated in the International Telecommunication Union for the purpose of high altitude balloons, which Google Loon is a high altitude balloon. And that's where there is a confusion. So the TRCSL is under the perception that this frequency cannot be allocated for Google Loon. However, there is discussions that are taking place between ITU, TRCSL.
The tests cannot be only done in the 700 MHz frequency alone. A similar request made in India for the spectrum range from 700 MHz to 900 MHz was turned down. Currently in Sri Lanka, this spectrum range is being utilized by VHF television stations.
The 700 MHz band of spectrum is one of the most valuable spectrum bands currently existing. It is currently used for television broadcasting. So, for example, some of you will be receiving the signals that you're watching now across the 700 MHz band. Sri Lanka has signed something called APT frequency plan, which means that we have committed to transfer this band to mobile terrestrial use and to move all the broadcasting channels that are here to digital broadcasting, which doesn't take that much of doesn't require that much of frequency. So under current Sri Lankan procedures, what we have is that every mobile operator has a sort of a base entitlement that they get with their license. So that means that everybody has a base allocation in the 900 megahertz band or in the CDMA band, which is the 800 band. And then on top of that, any additional frequencies that they get, they must get it through an auction process. That is, the government sets the rules, it sets a base price, and then the companies have to bid for the frequencies. So these frequencies have gone for as much as 3 or 4 million US dollars, frequency blocks.